seems like we're in rather serious times, and it's like it's hitting the fan. It's hitting the fan, and I'm not saying that to stir fear or to say there's going to be a civil war or anything like that. But this is because this now, everyone that is already going down the route of the deep state, which I think I like the Vivek Ramaswamy definition of deep state, which means just the bureaucratic elite that control Washington across both parties, across all the institutions. Like, I think that's a better definition for it than like an actual cabal, that like is probably, they're going to say is controlling the demonic NASA and controlling us from knowing the earth is flat and the Jays are behind it all, right? Like, instead of that, like, I think Vivek's the deep state as the bureaucratic who are controlling both parties in not in an overt sense, but in a sense that they are doing the day-to-day heavy lifting, right? Which I think is more than fair to say with someone like Trump, who's clearly not all there. And on the other end of the spectrum, you got people freaking out over Project 2025. You got people thinking that, Trump's going to put all minorities in prison and all kinds of crazy stuff on the Project 2025 conspiracy thing. So it's like there's a lot of stuff that's in the fan. Last cycle, it seemed like the real wild stuff was coming from the right, the Q level stuff. This cycle, it seems like it's just coming from everybody. Like, everybody has some angle, to the point where you got CNN not even acknowledging that this wasn't Trump falling and hurting himself, right? Like, like this is crazy that like this is how they're even how it's coming out is pretty wild, right? So yeah, okay, you guys want to look at this Bible verse? I promise you, this Bible verse is you'll see a TikTok video about this. Now, this is not me. This is not me saying I agree with this. This is me saying I know where this is going. Like, I know where the Christians are going to go with this. I know where the Christians are going to go with this. All right, you guys ready for it? This is sent to me by my man, Apologia Center, Arthur from Apologia Center. So, okay, so this is where I guarantee you this is where going to be the Christian conspiracy, especially the Christian conspiracy that like they don't like Trump. This is where it's going. You guys ready? The dragon stood. This is about the Antichrist. The dragon stood on the shore of the sea, and I saw a beast coming out of the sea. It had 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 crowns on its horn, and on each head a blasphemous name. Someone's going to connect this to Project 2025, I guarantee you. The beast I saw resembled a leopard, but had feet like those of a bear, and a mouth like that of a lion. The dragon gave the beast his power and his throne and great authority. One of the heads of the beast seems to have had a fatal wound, but the fatal wound had been healed. The whole world was filled with wonder and followed the beast. That's the one right there. One of the heads of the beast seemed to have a fatal wound. What happens when you get banged in the shot and it grazes your ear? It seems to be like a fatal wound, but the fatal wound had been healed, and the whole world was filled with wonder and followed the beast. And if this doesn't completely flip the election that was already in Trump's favor to Trump more. So yeah, just cue it up. Just mark my words. Mark this stream. Okay, this is here for public record that this is coming. This is coming. One of our new mods. Some of us Christians have such bad main character syndrome that they want Revelation to be all about our lifetime. Yeah, I hear you. Okay. Yeah, this is not a mortal wound. Yeah, I mean, it could have been a mortal wound, right? So stand over an inch. I think the framing of it being a mortal wound, and then he survives it, and then everyone rallies to his defense. Whenever we start sliding into vilifying either side as Satan incarnate themselves, I think is pretty scary stuff. Because if our country has the checks and balances it has, this too shall pass. This too shall pass, right? This too shall pass. But if it doesn't, hear me loud and clear. And there is a civil war brewing, and things will unravel, and states will start to secede. If that's true, if I'm wrong, and our system can't handle any more of this sort of stuff in the middle of an election year, say I'm wrong. Say our system isn't strong enough. Say the checks and balances are. Let's just say that. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. You and I on a personal level can't control if the dam breaks and the water flows out. On a personal level, we can't. So my advice to you would be, don't consume yourself with living in fear and being worried about stuff that you and I can't control on a personal level. We can't, like, if everything unravels and all of a sudden we're not the United States of America, but we're the blue states versus the red states, the West Coast versus the East. I don't know you really can't control that, right? And so I was talking to my son about this passage. My son is 9 years old, and you guys have heard this. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. What are these things? These things that we're talking about are your, food, clothes, that sort of stuff. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. I'll be honest with you. If left in my flesh and on my own, I'm definitely looking at everything up until November 5th and probably January 21st as like, what the heck is going to happen next? I did not think this was going to happen. What is going to happen next? That's my natural tendency. But Jesus says, therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Each day has enough trouble of its own. So, your days dealing with your family and your responsibilities and the thing that God has in front of you and the areas you need to be growing in and sanctified in has enough trouble of its own. I'm with you in that I don't know what this means for the country. I don't know what happens next. I don't know if there's another attempt. I don't know if there's we make it to November 5th. I don't know. Like, I really don't know. I mean, listen, if Obama speaks up, they could potentially get Biden to step down. And then what happens? And then how much does that hit the fan? From all measurable intents, it seems like Trump is going to win in November. And then I'm believing that he actually has some good people in his corner and things actually get better and not worse and not more divisive and not more nasty and not half the country thinking that the other half hates them and wants to see them in jail and wants their rights stripped. You guys don't understand. Like we can, like, the point isn't from any persuasive matter. Like, the point isn't to be right if there's no reconciliation and redemption happening. Do you understand that your political opponents don't just need to see that you're right and that your guy won? Like, your political opponents and the people we disagree with, we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. We don't wrestle against we wrestle against the principalities. But those principalities and those people on the other side of the aisle, on the other side of the paradigm, on the people that are driven by the LGTB weirdo stuff, the people that are driven by Marxism, the people that don't believe you should have private property rights, the people that want to, quote unquote, trans the kids, those are still people that we have to persuade. And you don't persuade by just telling them you're stupid, dumb, and you're wrong and I'm right. The point is to move towards some sort of reconciliation and redemption, especially as followers of Jesus. I don't want to be so right that I'm wrong and there's never reconciliation or redemption happening in terms of those relationships that are volatile because somebody thinks that now you're on the far right and you're a bigot because you are pro-life. This happened to me with one of my close friends. One of my close friends sat me down and thought I was on the far. I was like, bro, you don't know what the far right is. Because the far right hates me. You have no idea what the far right is to think I'm far right. And so, like, I'm dealing with these same things within you that people who are friends with once are now like, oh, like, you're a conservative, so therefore you're one click over from Nick Fuentes and Andrew Tate. And it's like, fam, like, what are we talking about? Right? So, but what I'm saying is those people, if and when this, I'm a naturally optimistic person, but if and when the November 7th happens, November 5th, excuse me, and Trump takes office, which I think he will, regardless on how I feel about him personally, regardless on which policies I do or don't agree with. When that happens, there will be people who will feel that their world has came to an end. There will be people who will feel that the country is going to collapse. And if he doesn't, many of you who are pro-Trump and feel like God's protecting him and all of this, and there's a prophecy and the trumpet in Revelation is really about the Trump. Those of you guys that are there will also feel like the country is unraveling. Many of us feel like that now because there's an assassination attempt of a magnitude that hasn't happened since Ronald Reagan, I believe. So in that, as we're going into the rest of the year, is the objective to be right, or is the objective to be righteous? Is the objective to be right, or is the objective to be reconciled? Is the objective to be right, or is the objective to be ministers of reconciliation? There's people, Gabe, that's from Jonathan Cahn's book. I didn't make that up, Gabe. That's straight Jonathan Cahn. The trumpet and Revelation, and then Trump rises up, and the trumpet and Revelation. That's a direct quote. And he'll say it's fiction and whatever, but there's people that believe this stuff. There's people that believe this stuff. After the incredible success of our Bless God prayer journal, many of you guys began to ask for something that had a planner. And so we combined our Bless God prayer journal with a brand new leadership planner that jam-packs the same things from our prayer journal with a planner, goal setting, leadership meeting, and notes. With the next pages, you can see different sections right along here of this leadership planner where you can start out with actionable goals, 12 months of calendar, our original prayer journal prompts, our leadership journal with the proven problem solution framework, and of course, just free write notes. This leadership planner is based off of Matthew 25:14-30, which of course is the parable of the talents. The vision of the planner is to help you make the most of your time, talent, and treasure. Head over to blessgod.shop and get yours today. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.